Go down and look at a check ledger. Do you know what a check is? You know how to write a check? You probably don't know how to write a check, do you?
I do know what a check is. Boom.
There you go.
I can use my context clues to figure out what a check ledger is.
I'm sure you would say that your time in the NFL and everything pales in comparison to what your ministry life has been.
If I'm pursuing comfort at all costs in my life, then that distracts me from what it looks like to actually trust in God.
If you were brought to court for being a Christian, would there be enough in your life that people could testify to that you could be found guilty? Hello and welcome to the Sunday Huddle. As always, we're just so grateful to be sponsored by Sports World. Their support allows us to be able to do what we do. And again, we're so grateful for you guys being here and joining us today. As always, super glad to be joined by Brian Hasley. Brian, how are we doing today?
Excellent.
Having a good day?
Great day.
And then Nathan. Nathan, how's it going today, bud?
I am doing great.
That's
doing great.
good.
Wouldn't it be awesome if I left in the intro part, if I just leave in, clip in, where leave in, you staring at the camera for the 4 seconds, kind of smiling before.
I think it would be
4 seconds of you silent.
I think it would be awesome. Should I do that?
So,
can you do it? Don't.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So we got our kids a trampoline.
Oh,
now, I think they say you're not supposed to do that. For our kids are 5 and 2, and I think even the trampoline literally says 6+, but it's
so super important question. Talking about insurance a little before this program. What's your deductible for your insurance policy?
Yeah, who knows?
To the ER?
It's a lot. So,
okay, good.
We'll be fine. So we got the trampoline. It was a Christmas gift. I know this is coming out a few weeks after. Maybe, I don't know when it's coming out. A few weeks after Christmas, but. So we got the trampoline, and it made me think of putting together furniture and stuff like that. When we bought the trampoline, I specifically remember reading some of the reviews of how easy it was. They advertised how easy this thing is to put together. It's gonna be good. So we wanted to be a surprise, right? Obviously,
of course.
So we had to wait till the kids get to bed on Christmas Eve for me to start putting it together. I wanted to be put together in the backyard. So 9 p.m. or so hits, and I dragged this 7,000-pound box out to the backyard.
Right.
I remember opening it and. Just a rough estimate, but I think pretty accurate. It'll be about 650,000 pieces.
Okay,
Good.
Yep.
And I go over the instructions, and it's 2 pages, and it's only pictures with 3 words total.
Yeah.
And it took me, I don't even remember how long. It was after midnight by the time I finished putting it together. But man, I remember I was so frustrated because I felt lied to. Because all the reviews, people said this was easy, and man, maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. I felt like that was not an accurate representation of what I was actually getting into. And I kind of wish I could have taken that trampoline.
So this is a pretty important question, not to diverge too much, but your wife, she gave birth to the baby a couple of weeks before that, right? 3 weeks before that? Month before that?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And she was unwilling to help. That says a lot about her, honestly, that she was unwilling to move the trampoline back. The birth of the baby was 3 weeks prior, Hasley.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, why would she not help?
Lame. No, really, she wasn't able to walk at the time.
She was literally lame.
I don't think that's that funny, man.
Good job taking up for your
wife.
wife.
So it made me think about. I think lots of time and working with. I know we say it all the time. Working with students and stuff. I feel like students a lot of times and people in general have this idea of whenever I follow Christ, everything is my life is perfect and good.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is better now. No, don't hear what we're not saying. We'll talk about this. There's so many blessings and it is better at the end of the day. But we feel like, everything is going to go perfect. And then life is hard and we feel like, actually, I was lied to. Maybe this is not as easy as what I thought I was signing up for.
Yeah, we pointed to it many times, but the reviews on Christian television says that the Christian life is easy.
That's
the
true.
reviews.
Yeah, right.
The reviews. Well said. Well, great metaphor. The reviews say the pastor sits up on stage on the platform and acts like nothing's ever gone wrong in his life.
Right.
Yeah, so he's giving these false reviews that says, hey, man, if you're a Christian life, this is what everything goes great. My wife and I have never had an argument or discussion. My kids are perfect, and they get to act perfect, and that's what we're told as believers is going to happen, and then, unfortunately, life happens, right?
Like a swing and a miss that's perfectly good.
You swing and miss all. That's exactly right. But when you made the decision to buy the trampoline, there was a cost that you didn't foresee. There's a cost to following Christ.
Yeah, wait till the kids fall off.
No, there's a net. It took me 3 hours to put up on there.
You have a net on it too. That's good.
We have a net on
there.
You're
Such a good dad. That's awesome. The cost of following Christ. I think it's again great that the cost is always greater than we think it is.
Right. I at the same time though, when we learn throughout the Bible, it is worth it. But the cost is definitely a lot more. I believe I have it in one of these notes. Nope, I don't have it as easy. Yes, we'll go right here with the Luke 14, 27, 28. That was the one I was going to go with.
Yep.
Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? And so it's, again, just a reminder, Jesus isn't, beating around the bush here. He's making it very clear, like, you have to understand there is a cost for it, which is crazy because it's paradoxical in the sense that there's nothing that we can do to earn our salvation. So it's a free gift that also has a cost.
Yeah, so I love it. And I love the Luke passage too. I have that written down too. I'm sorry, you had a thought first, and I'll go.
Oh, you're good. I was going to say, I think that's the difference though with like the trampoline analogy, right? Would be, I went back and looked. I promise you. After I set it up, I was like, I'm going to go back and look at this dang thing and see if I just read it wrong, and I didn't, right? Because they want you to buy the product, so they want to sell you this false "it's so easy" thing. But Jesus doesn't do that for us.
Nope.
And if we fall into the place where, man, there's a higher cost than I thought there was going to be. Well, you didn't read the verse that Brian just read. Then we just neglected the fine print, because Jesus is very upfront on like, hey, it's going to cost you not just this and this, but actually like everything and even your life, right,
yeah.
to follow me.
Yeah, and I love that passages you read, and I love the verses you read. The real difficulty in even going a couple of verses before that, because here's what a couple of verses before that same chapter, Luke chapter 14. Now great crowds accompanied him, and he turned to them and said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, and yes, even his own life," what Nathan just said, "he cannot be my disciple." It didn't say he probably won't be my disciple. He says he cannot be my disciple. Then we go to whoever does not bear his own cross, and that the verses that you just read. It literally says, we'll have to talk about what that means, but unless I'll get to the answer, unless your love for me is so great that it appears as hatred for your mother and father and brother and sister and even your own life, then you're not mine.
Right. Well, my 5-year-old woke me up at 2 this morning for no reason, so I have no problem hating him right now. Just kidding. You got a newborn.
But that sounds like that can't be right. Like, that's the way it sounds, right? You hear that of like, what do you mean? So what is that supposed to mean for us? Like, what do I do with that?
So I don't always like. I don't want to get into a translation thing. We haven't gotten there yet on different translations that might be the best. I don't always love the New Living Translation, but the New Living Translation says it well. It says, "If you want to be my disciple, you must hate everyone else by comparison." So our love for God is going to look like, it's so great that it's going to look like hatred for others. If you were to measure it, I guess. Now, here's what's you've got to be really careful, because you're right. That's like, you read that and that's crazy on the eyes. Like, there's no way you read that out loud. You read that out loud, and it's kind of hard to read that out loud. What are you talking about? But he's going to say, my love for you is so great that it's gonna look as in comparison as if you hate other people, how much you love me. But ironically, when we love him vertically the way that we're supposed to, great question, then horizontally we're going to love the right way. We'll love the people around us the greatest way if our love for God in comparison looks like hatred for others. Is that how you understand that passage?
I would definitely understand it that way.
I think it's our pastor has said it many times, I love others best when I love Jesus most. Heard
Ooh,
that.
Wow, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. I think that we don't recognize the cost of following Christ. All we have to do is read the word. It's not like it was not hidden message, right? That he was tricked us in and bait and switch, and you're not going to have a hard life. And I think that our love for the Lord is going to impact how we live our lives, and it's going to impact the way that people perceive us around us. I read a thing by D.L. Moody who said he was asked once a question. He was asked, "Now that I'm converted, must I give up the world?" And he said, "No, you need not give up the world. If you give a ringing testimony for the Son of God, the world will give you up pretty quick. They will not want you around."
Right.
Yeah. So, is it going to be tart? Is it going to be a cost? Yeah, there's going to be a significant cost. In fact, if you do it right, people are not going to like your message.
Right. And there's so many different aspects that Jesus teaches us, like in the parable of the pearl of great price. No, not pearl of great price. Treasure of the field. Wrong one. No,
We're not advocating
not
for
the pearl of great price.
We're advocating for a treasure here in the field. That's
treasure in the field. Sorry.
That's good. We're LDS now. That's good. No, you're good. You're good.
No, but you sell everything for the treasure that is greater. And in Matthew 16:24, Jesus told the disciples that if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. it's just this reminder again that we will find real life the same way that the treasure in the field is a real treasure, so much greater than anything that we possess, that when we are sacrificially giving that, like, it's just true life that we found in life to the abundance.
So counterintuitive, though.
Right.
I mean, like those statements he says, hey, give up your life and you're going to find it. What in the world does that mean? How does that resonate with me in any way? How's that true?
Yeah. I think whenever we hear like give up my life, there's like, I think it'd be good to unpack that a little bit. What does that actually mean if I'm called to like give up my life? Because I know a lot of times our head goes to like literally like I'm going to like be martyred, give up my life, which I mean, could be, right?
Yeah.
Could be. And it's certainly for many Christians around the world, that's a very real reality. That's part of the counting the cost of coming to Christ. But I also think one of the ways that we like are giving up our life, I'm counting the cost of following Christ, is I'm starting to understand now that I can no longer follow my own desires first and my own comfort first. That becomes like secondary to Jesus. I'm following him. I'm laying aside my own desires, laying aside my own like pursuit of comfort, and falling fully on him.
So which is a great way I think we can make the pivot, right? So we talked about the difficulty and the cost, but the reason the cost is it's necessary and it's worthwhile is because the benefit is greater. That there's a greater benefit to be gained from giving your life to Christ. That we can actually engage in Christian hedonism. That God began to change our desires in such a way. I know I've shared this before, but I played football for 6 years. My 6th year, God began to take the desire away to play and to go into ministry. So what I did was not something that was a great sacrifice for me. It was something that was in alignment with my desires because God had changed my desires. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, and you weren't any good.
That's point number one. Point number two is the one I was making. The first one is I wasn't very good is the given. There's no argument here. But
it is
he
really
changes
cool how that
your
happens.
desires. He changes your desires. Why in the world? And honestly, man, if I were to prove that out more, I began to learn a backup nobody till I started.
Right.
Had my best year. And then God changes desires because you think if I just have my best year, if I'm starting, if I'm grading out high, I'm going to want to do this. Nope. We're going to take away those desires so that what feels like a tough and taking up your cross and following Christ, it actually is in alignment with the desires that he gave me to pursue him. Make sense?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And it's because we are in conflict with the world at times. Like there is this aspect of ambition that we want to have. And it's really cool. Like in John 15, when we abide deeply in the vine, we're pruning some of the other stuff so we can bear real fruit. And I'm sure you would say that your time in the NFL and everything pales in comparison to what your ministry life has been, how God has just made everything flourish so much more when you're living in the way that God has intended.
Man, I've shared before, going back to a high school reunion and high school students, guys that were my friends now that were in high school with me, looking and saying, hey, that was the best time of our life. And I'm like, what a terrible life you have. I mean, if this was the best time of your life, right, man, I'm so sad. This is the best time of my life.
Right.
I've got the joy of the Lord. Everything God's ever done in my whole life is to prepare me for the ministry I'm in, for this podcast, to be the father I want to be, the grandparent I want to be. Come on, kids, give me a grandkid. You know what I mean? I'm not above that. But the thing is that honestly, that God begins to change your desires and to choose. And so here's the thing: you mentioned real quick the treasure hidden in the field. So real quick for those who don't know the story, is this guy finds a treasure hidden in a field. He sells everything he has to go purchase this field. And the reason he does so is because he's done the calculus, right, and he's recognized that what he's given up doesn't even compare to what he's gaining. Right. Nobody feels sorry for him. Nobody says, oh, we feel so sorry for that you sold everything that you have and got rid of everything you have. Nope, because what he's getting, he recognizes is greater. That's the message of the treasure hidden in the field. That's the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Whatever you give up for me, man, you're going to get more than that. Not health, wealth, and prosperity. Not that, but peace and joy and purpose, things this world can never give you on its own.
Right. So we do believe, certainly, that's the most fulfilling life you can possibly live this side of heaven.
Amen.
Is a life in which you are giving up everything to follow him because you get those things you just said of joy and peace, so much more like lasting and real and meaningful than some of the worldly temporary things. But then also we have the element of it too of yes, in this life, but also in the life to come too. We recognize that part of counting the cost is I'm recognizing that yes, the cost is real, but man, so is the eternal reward.
Well said.
As well.
Yeah, and we don't always see it this side of heaven. What a great thing that we need to always remind ourselves. We're not going to always see it this side of heaven, but it's totally worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's temporary.
Philippians 3, 7, and 8. But whatever gain I had counted as loss for the sake of Christ. Indeed, I count everything as loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. Like, that's the beautiful. I mean, Paul is saying this as someone who was.
Had he done anything before that? Did he have anything accomplished?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's the best part is that he's saying like, man, my best day is rubbish.
And he had some really great days before, like as far as not the persecution of the church, but as successes.
Right.
Like he says, no, this is the most successful. Yeah, hey man, I've done it all. I have the best resume of any of you guys, and I could do whatever I wanted to do, but instead I chose to do this. So I think it's interesting. I think that, in America, we've kind of westernized the gospel, and sometimes it cannot be the real gospel. We failed to teach that there indeed are trials that you're going to face, and counting the cost, we need to do that. I've often, and as I was thinking, the last point I wanted to make for sure was that, the rich young ruler. So the rich young ruler comes to Jesus and he says, good teacher, what must I do to have eternal life? And he says, why do you call me good? Who is good but God alone? And that's a whole another podcast on who is good. Only God can be good. And then he says, well, here's what you got to do. You got to sell everything you have and you got to follow me. And just the short version of the story is that the guy was unwilling to sell everything he had, and he walked away. And this made Jesus sad that he walked away. So he was asked to do everything. So normally there's two ways we teach this story. The first way we teach this story is that, I think it's true, it's not untrue, is that Jesus was trying to teach him that he couldn't be fulfilled by the law. I think that's true. And he wasn't really wanting him to have a garage sale, but instead he was wanting to see if he was willing to, and by his unwillingness to, he should show that he hadn't kept the law. I think that's true. That's true. But we can't forget the second part of it, that sometimes Christ calls us to give everything. And so I think that there's two things at play here. I think the rich young ruler truly was asked to give it all. I told you I've shared my faith with people who were smart, that recognized, man, I don't want to do that. I got to say, I don't want to do that because God could call me to do anything. He could ask me to do anything, and that dude counted the cost,
right?
And so how frightening indeed that was.
Right. I like it when we think about some of the costs that we have. One of the biggest things that we as American Christians have to give up is comfort. And so I'm sharing the gospel, and if we were to talk to Paul and he was to just say, hey, let's hear about what's going on, like, oh man, I just can't share the gospel here, or I can't do that here. Why not? Are you going to be murdered for it? Well, no.
They won't sit with me at lunch.
Right? Yeah. Are you going to be thrown in prison? Are you going to be beat? No, it's just going to be awkward. Like, what? That's it?
Man, Nathan, I wonder what you would tell your young people, and this is a hard way we're not selling the gospel, right? But hey, no. In fact, when you do come to Christ, it's probably going to be more difficult for you.
Right. Yeah.
In the context that you're living your life, it's going to probably be more difficult. It's going to be tougher to do that.
Yes,
yeah.
Jesus
tells us that, like, in this world you will have tribulation, but take heart, for I have overcome the world.
Right, and I think that with the comfort, like a lot of people would say, like intellectually, like we know, like if I'm a believer, I recognize, like, yes, that's the cost, and I know that. But then the comfort is what actually stops us from truly like living and walking in that. Like maybe intellectually we know that, we would say that, but then the life that we live would not line up with that. And comfort is almost always, I think, what is like holding us back, right? Where comfort in itself is not like, it's not evil necessarily or even a bad thing. I mean, you can maybe argue that one. It's not a bad thing, but not necessarily a bad thing. But if I'm pursuing comfort at all costs in my life, then that distracts me from what it looks like to actually trust in God. Of like, I'm now trusting, like really it's self like idolatry. It's I'm trusting that I know what's better, because the discomfort from sharing the gospel with someone or whatever, the discomfort that's going to come from that is far I can't bear that. So it's better to sit in this, even though I know God says I shouldn't do that, but man, I know this is what I want right now. It feels better.
Often quoted, Chesterton says this: the Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It's been found difficult and left untried. The Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and left untried. That I will find all sorts of other ways to object to the faith, because I know if I try this, man, it's going to be hard.
Right.
And we are promised that it will be hard. But we also are promised in the midst of that difficult time that there's a peace that surpasses all understanding. There's a sustaining power of the Holy Spirit who literally indwells within the believer when he indeed comes into Christ.
Absolutely. When you talk about the story of the rich young ruler, if you haven't read Ecclesiastes, I highly recommend it. It's definitely my favorite book in the Bible.
Wow.
But the very end of it, Ecclesiastes 12, starting in verse 13, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. So for backstory, for those who don't know who Solomon was, richest man, wisest man ever. Like, think Elon times 100. Well, probably not, but close enough.
He was smart. Yep.
And so like that's how he was. And so he's gone his whole life doing everything in engaging in hedonism and basically trying to find the meaning of life. And at the end of the book, like the very end of the book, he's saying the end of the matter is this: fear God and keep his commandments, because this is ultimately what's going, like this is what it all is. And so the rich young ruler would have known that this is what is in Ecclesiastes at the time. And at the same time, he's not able to give it all up because he feels that the things of this earth are just worth more.
We can learn stuff. We can learn stuff by struggling through something, and we can also learn through the struggling of others.
Right.
And so what Solomon said, he says, I'm going to live everything you think you want to live to the limit of what it can be lived. Hedonism, intellectualism, materialism. I'm going to go all the isms all the way out, right? I'm going to go, you think you can go further? I'm going to go further than this, right? And I'm going to take it to the end. And then he says, meaningless.
Yes.
He says,
Vanities
this is meaningless. And so
Chasing the wind.
So I'm going to give you a 12-point sermon on how I'm going to fix it. Nope. He says, here's how it ends up, man.
Yep.
Just love God.
Right.
just do the right thing, man.
Right.
And again, so the things we think are going to bring us peace and happiness, they don't do it. The things that you're going to, the cost you're worried about, you're seeking this temporary thing, and God wants to give you something that's eternal.
Yeah. So we got a few minutes left. I don't know where y'all were wanting to go next, but
Let's
I'm going
go.
to take it maybe a different direction. Who knows? Maybe some good like self-reflection. So if we're thinking like this counting the cost thing and the cost of following Jesus, am I actually living that way? Some like self-reflection specifically with comfort. Am I allowing comfort to be am I too comfortable in my faith? I found an article on the Gospel Coalition, and it's talking about comfort. So it's like some signs that your Christianity is too comfortable. And I won't go through all of them for time's sake, but just want to highlight a couple. One of them, it says, your friends and coworkers are surprised to learn that you're a church-going Christian.
Wow.
That sounds so simple.
It does.
But we all know so many people that have told a story that sounds something like this. Yeah, man, my friend was shocked when I told him that I had to go to church tomorrow.
Oh, goodness.
And they say it almost with a smile, and it's like,
Right.
Wait a minute.
that is not like, that's a big deal. That's a problem, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that, and we see that with students all the time. They laugh
so
about
good.
that too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, my friends are shocked that I go to church. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not. Don't be proud of that. So there's
good.
that. Your friends, coworkers, surprised to learn you're a church-going Christian. Another one was you never think about or even remember the Sunday sermon on Monday. So you start to, I think that's probably the application side of it. Are you there checking the box? Or is it actually bringing about any kind of change? Let's see. Another one was you never feel challenged, only affirmed. It's comfort, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Challenge is not comfortable. Let's see. You never. This is kind of a similar vein, but you never have to have a truth and love conversation with a fellow Christian.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe too comfortable.
Yeah.
And then one more I'll point out is that no one at your church could comment on any area of growth they've seen in you.
Wow.
Then maybe you're starting to be a little too comfortable if there's not evident areas of
Those
growth.
which is great observations. I had a buddy of mine who used to preach a sermon on if you were brought to court for being a Christian,
Right.
would there be enough in your life that people could testify to that you could be found guilty?
Right.
Right. What a great, that no, I don't think the guy's innocent of that charge.
Right.
Because he talks just like me. You know why you don't have other people accountable? It says you don't have tough talks with people because you can't, because your life is not right. No, I'm not going to bring up Brian's.
They're going to say that I'm doing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Do you know what Brian texted? Well, let me show you Jeff texted. I better not mention. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's these things we think, and what great observations though. But think about that. Would there be enough to convict you if indeed because you've counted the cost?
Right. And I'd say two things that they left off the list that's even more of the American Christian now is like, do you go to church regularly, Jeff?
Please clarify that pearl of great price.
I didn't see him last Sunday.
I was there at 11 o'clock service.
That's true. I did see him.
Yep.
I did see him.
Yeah, you were the one skipping church.
I was in the holy 8 o'clock.
So, and I do need to apologize probably to y'all that when I'm not at church, I'm out sharing the gospel across the world. And I recognize that that's a difficulty for you when I'm out preaching somewhere else and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ.
It's not always about you, Jeff. I was talking about to the other people listening to us. Do you go to your church weekly?
Right.
Like, is it a non-negotiable in your life? Because there are aspects in your life that are non-negotiables, but is church attendance one of them? And if you have been going to church for a while, another aspect that you might be too comfortable is that you're not serving. Like, those are two things that you as a believer, you need to be committing to that. And yes, there are some mornings you don't want to get there, that you had a late night for whatever reason. You have a newborn that's making it to where it's difficult. Yeah. And at the same time, like, that is something that you should not be succumbing to the idol of comfort in that. But there is an aspect of serving that, you get a little uncomfortable doing that.
Man, there's been some crazy statistics on church attendance, like on the number of people that come to church attendance, and like a person who's in a regular attender right now is like twice a month.
Right.
That's a regular attender.
Right.
And so we look at these numbers in churches that stay rather consistent. And the reason they stay rather consistent in churches in general is because we have people taking turns going to church.
Right.
So I can't go this Sunday, you take this Sunday. But that's indicative. That says something about your heart. We're not saying going to church gets you to heaven. We're not saying that's what's going to do it. We're not going to say it makes you, but we're saying that there should be something. And then, that ought to cost us something. Where are we serving at?
Right.
Where are we? I've never heard a person who is actively serving in a church that felt disconnected from a church.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. I think just real quick to close with one just practical application for us is when we think of counting the cost, we always want to go to the extreme of if someone held a gun to my head and they said, do you believe in God, yes or no? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to take it, right? We want to think of those, or the professor that stands up and calls someone out in class. Like the extreme examples that I'm not saying that never happens, whatever, but just I think a really practical application for the vast majority of us is we want to examine our everyday choices. Of we think, yes, I would do this, this, and this. Well, your everyday choices, I think, reveal the answer to those big questions of how when I think about my time, my money, and my relationships, I examine those, am I truly counting the cost of following Jesus? Because if I am, it will be evident in all of those areas, in my time, in my money, and in my relationships.
Yeah, it should be evident. Yeah, we could, you could, this is a thing of the past, which will age you, but a check ledger. Go down and look at a check ledger. Do you know what a check is? You know how to write a check? You probably don't know how to write a check, do you?
I do know what a check is. Boom.
There you
and
go.
I can use my context clues to figure out what a check ledger is.
That and you look at what am I spending my money on? What am I spending my time on? What am I doing? And yeah, man, that'd probably be embarrassing to most of us, right? I've done that, and I've said it openly. I very rarely miss a workout.
Right.
Or
a meal.
Amen, brother. I believe that God ordained that. No, but think about those two things, and I don't, but how much time am I spending in my Word? Well, I'm gonna read my Bible every day. I'm gonna get devotional every day. I'm gonna do that every day, but man, not the amount of time I lifted today. Right. So what are those things that we're spending time on? That might show us that we haven't counted the cost in such a way that's significant. Well, man, we do. The only way we count the cost is, for those who are kind of wondering whether I should or shouldn't, I want to tell you He's greater. Amen. He is the treasure hidden in a field. When we come to know Him in a relationship, He gives us that which surpasses anything that we could ever want for our life. He gives you peace. He gives you purpose. He gives you direction. And man, that's all we ever need in life.
Yep, indeed. Well, hey, thank you so much for listening. If you would, just take 30 seconds real quick. Leave us a review on Apple or on Spotify. That definitely helps us out as we seek to push this out to more people. And if you're watching on YouTube, then make sure you click subscribe, ring the bell so you can get notifications when we have new stuff coming out. And thank you for listening.
Peace!
Nailed it.